The morning sun filtered through the blinds, casting soft lines across my bedroom floor. I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at my reflection in the small, oval mirror on the dresser. I barely recognized the person staring back at me. My hair, styled in gentle waves, framed a face I had spent hours trying to perfect. The subtle hint of blush on my cheeks, the delicate sweep of eyeliner, and the soft curve of my lips painted a version of myself I had only dared to imagine in secret. I was Alex, a name that sounded ordinary enough, but it carried a dual life I couldn't share with anyone. By day, I was just me, a college student, quiet, reserved, always careful not to draw attention. By night, or whenever I could steal a moment alone, I became someone entirely different, someone I had begun to embrace more and more. Feminine, daring, confident, and vulnerable in ways I didn't fully understand. Crossdressing wasn't just a hobby for me. It was an outlet, a secret escape from the monotony and pressure of my daily life. But today felt different. My hands shook slightly as I reached for the small velvet pouch on my dresser. Inside was the lipstick, deep rose, shimmering with a subtle gloss. I had never worn it outside my private room, never let anyone see. Yet somehow, I knew this day would change everything. It all started a week ago when my college friend and mentor, Jason, had dropped by unannounced. Jason was charming, confident, and had a teasing sense of humor that made my heart skip in ways I didn't entirely understand. He had been giving me advice on presentation skills for a class project when he suddenly grinned and said, "Alex, I have a little test for you, trust me, it'll be fun." I had laughed nervously, not entirely sure what he meant. But when he handed me a small, elegant lipstick and said, "Try this. Show me your confidence," I had felt a shiver run through me. It wasn't just the lipstick, it was the thrill of the unknown, the subtle pressure of a challenge, the possibility of stepping into a side of myself I had barely explored. I hadn't realized then that this test would spiral into something far more intense, far more consuming. Now, sitting in my room, I could feel the excitement and fear mingling in my chest. Emma, my girlfriend, was due back in a few hours. She had no idea about this side of me. Our relationship was sweet but conventional. She thought she knew everything about me. She didn't know about the long nights spent experimenting with makeup, the hours of trying on dresses in secret, the way my heart raced when I saw myself fully transformed in the mirror. My fingers trembled as I applied the lipstick. The smooth glide across my lips was electric. I swallowed, trying to steady my breathing, feeling a strange mix of empowerment and terror. For years, I had hidden this part of myself, unsure if I would ever have the courage to share it, even with someone as close as Emma. And now, under Jason's suggestion, I had crossed that invisible line. I caught my reflection again, and this time, I didn't flinch. Instead, I smiled, small, uncertain, but genuine. The Alex looking back at me was no longer just the shy student who hid behind books and quiet laughter. I was someone new, someone daring enough to explore desires that had always whispered in the shadows. The room was quiet except for the ticking of my alarm clock and the distant hum of traffic outside. Every sound felt amplified, every shadow more pronounced. My heart pounded not just from fear, but from anticipation. Today, I wasn't just experimenting. Today, I was stepping into a persona that could very well change how others saw me and how I saw myself. Emma's presence loomed in my thoughts like a delicate balance between comfort and risk. Would she understand? Would she laugh, scold, or accept? The uncertainty made the thrill sharper, more intense. I could hear her footsteps approaching the front door in my mind, her voice calling my name in a few hours, completely oblivious to the transformation I had undergone in her absence. I looked around the room, taking in the accessories I had laid out earlier. A delicate necklace, matching earrings, and a pair of modest heels that made my legs look longer, more elegant. Each piece felt like a key, unlocking a side of me that had been waiting for the right moment to emerge. Jason had called it a test, but I knew it was more than that. It was an awakening, a moment that would forever blur the lines between who I was and who I could become. With one last glance in the mirror, I took a deep breath and whispered to myself, "Okay, let's see who I really am." I couldn't have predicted the chain of events that would follow. The secret glances, the stifled excitement, the subtle way the world began to notice a change in me. Every interaction, every reflection, every whispered compliment built the suspense, the sense that something extraordinary was unfolding just beneath the surface of my ordinary life. And yet, there was a pang of fear. What if Jason's test wasn't just playful? What if it was a challenge that could expose me, strip away my carefully guarded secrets, and leave me vulnerable in ways I wasn't ready to face? The thought made my stomach knot, but I couldn't turn back now. The lipstick was on, the outfit complete, and the persona I had longed to explore was fully alive. I took one last breath, savoring the strange combination of fear and exhilaration. Today, everything was about to change. Today, I would discover whether this side of me, this version of myself that I had nurtured in private, could survive the scrutiny of the outside world. Today, I would step into Jason's test and find out if Alex could become his dream girl. The morning passed in a blur of anticipation. I kept glancing at the clock, my nerves tangled with excitement. Jason's words echoed in my mind. "It's just a test, see what you can become." I had no idea how little he meant it. After breakfast, I retreated back to my room. The lipstick still gleamed on my lips, and every time I caught my reflection, a strange thrill coursed through me. Today, I would fully explore this persona. Today, I would experiment, not just with makeup but with confidence, posture, and presence. I carefully selected an outfit. A soft pastel dress, one I had bought months ago but never dared wear. It fit perfectly, hugging my waist and flaring just enough at the skirt to give me a sense of elegance. I paired it with the heels I had lined up earlier. My fingers hesitated as I slipped them on. The unfamiliar height made me teeter slightly, my legs feeling long and exposed in a way I hadn't anticipated. The transformation was more than physical. Each brushstroke of makeup, each careful adjustment of clothing, each glance in the mirror was reshaping my mindset. The shy, cautious Alex was slowly fading, replaced by someone daring enough to step into the unknown. I tilted my head, testing expressions, practicing smiles, feeling the subtle power of attention, even if no one else was watching. Yet, with every surge of confidence came a rush of fear. What if Emma came home early? What if someone walked in unexpectedly? I couldn't shake the tension of secrecy that had always accompanied my crossdressing. The thrill of being discovered, without being discovered, had a magnetic pull. Hours passed. I practiced walking, swaying slightly with the heels, feeling a delicate rhythm in my steps. I experimented with gestures, how to tilt my chin, how to angle my hips subtly. Small revelation, an awakening to how my body could communicate femininity in ways I had only glimpsed in secret reflections. Around mid-afternoon, my phone buzzed. A message from Jason. "Good. Keep going. Try to feel it, live it. I'll stop by later to see how far you've come." My stomach tightened. His visit could change everything. The thought of him seeing me like this, fully transformed, vulnerable, yet strangely empowered, sent shivers down my spine. Was it excitement? Fear? Desire? I couldn't tell. All I knew was that this test was pushing boundaries I had never dared to cross before. To pass the time, I practiced speaking in a softer tone, experimenting with modulation, imagining a world where no one knew I was Alex the student, the reserved guy. Instead, I was Alex the persona, delicate and commanding attention in a completely new way. Every word felt heavier, more deliberate. Every glance in the mirror revealed a different layer of me, one I wanted to explore more deeply. When Jason finally arrived, the sound of the doorbell made my heart race. I smoothed my dress, checked my makeup, and took a deep breath. I opened the door to find him standing there with that same teasing smile, eyes sparkling with curiosity and challenge. "Wow," he said softly, stepping inside. "I didn't expect this." The words sent a thrill through me. Validation, even from him, was intoxicating. I felt exposed, yet powerful. He circled me, examining the transformation like an artist studying a canvas. Your test, he said, isn't just about how you look. It's about how you carry it, how you feel it. Confidence isn't given, it's performed, and I want to see if you can own it. The challenge was clear, and I accepted it silently. With every nod, every glance, I could feel the persona strengthening. My fingers relaxed. My stance became natural. For the first time, I wasn't hiding behind walls of doubt or fear. Jason smiled knowingly. Good. Now, let's push it further. He guided me through exercises, standing in the hallway, practicing how to respond to hypothetical compliments, walking with poise across the room. My pulse raced. The lines between fear, thrill, and desire blurred. Each movement, each gesture was electric. Hours slipped by. I lost track of time, lost in the persona I was cultivating. By evening, when Emma's usual return time approached, I realized I had reached a threshold I never anticipated. I was no longer just trying it out. I was fully inhabiting this new version of myself. And then, the moment of suspense, the knock at the door. Not Jason.
Emma.
Panic surged. I froze, half dressed in the persona I had embraced, unsure if I could hide or revert fast enough. My mind raced through every possible scenario. Pretend I'm just experimenting? Run to my room and hide? Face her as I am, fully transformed? The sound of her keys in the lock made my heartbeat pound like a drum. Every second stretched, every breath felt heavier. This was the first real test, one that Jason hadn't warned me about. When the door opened, I caught a glimpse of Emma's face. Confusion, curiosity, perhaps a hint of amusement. I swallowed hard, trying to find words that wouldn't betray my secret entirely. Hey, The hesitation made my voice tremble. And in that moment, I realized that no amount of practice could have prepared me for this, being truly vulnerable in front of someone I loved, someone whose opinion mattered more than anyone else's. Emma stepped closer, her eyes scanning me, not judgmental, not mocking, but genuinely curious. Wow, she whispered, almost to herself. You all look different. I didn't expect this. The tension was unbearable. Would she accept it? Would she laugh? Or would she retreat, shocked, leaving me exposed in every sense of the word? I straightened my back, took a deep breath, and whispered, It's me. I've been exploring. Jason called it a test. Her expression softened. She didn't move away. She didn't recoil. Instead, she tilted her head, a small smile forming. This is new, she said slowly. But I like it. You look amazing. Relief, shock, exhilaration, all crashed over me in waves. The suspense, the fear, the thrill, it was intoxicating. I had passed the first real test, not with Jason, but with the person whose acceptance mattered most. And yet, even as we shared that quiet, suspended moment, I knew the journey was far from over. Jason's test had only begun. The thrill of transformation, the allure of this new persona, and the suspense of how far I could take it stretched out before me like an uncharted path. Every glance in the mirror, every subtle movement, every whispered word now carried weight, carrying the potential to change not just how I saw myself, but how the world saw me, and how deep my secret desires could truly go. After Emma's initial surprise and soft approval, I thought I could relax, but the thrill of uncertainty didn't let me. Every glance in the mirror reminded me of the double life I was leading. Even with Emma beside me, my heart raced, not from fear of judgment, but from the intoxicating power of transformation itself. Jason's earlier words echoed in my mind. Confidence isn't given, it's performed. That idea lingered like a challenge. I realized it wasn't enough to just look like the persona. I had to become it fully. So I spent the next hour experimenting with subtle gestures, the tilt of a head, the sway of my hips, the way I held my hands when speaking. Each movement felt foreign yet electrifying, as though a part of me had been asleep until now. Emma watched quietly, her eyes tracking every adjustment I made. At times, she offered small suggestions. "Try holding your shoulders back more," she said softly, or "tilt your chin slightly when you smile." Each tip was validating, and each time she smiled, my confidence surged. It was thrilling to have someone witness my transformation without ridicule, and yet the suspense lingered. Would she ever cross the line from fascination to judgment? The thrill wasn't purely visual. Wearing the dress and heels changed how I felt, lighter, more fluid, more attuned to movements I had never allowed myself before. Every step across the room felt like a statement, each sway of my body like a private secret being performed openly. My reflection in the mirror became a dialogue, the shy Alex staring back at me, slowly melting away, replaced by this daring, confident version that felt both foreign and utterly right. But the suspense wasn't just internal. Jason's visit still loomed. He had promised to come back later to evaluate my progress. The thought of his critical eyes on me made my pulse quicken. Would he approve? Would he push me further, revealing aspects of myself I hadn't dared explore yet? The idea both terrified and exhilarated me. To pass the time, I began to practice scenarios, how I would handle compliments, unexpected attention, or even casual conversation while fully embodying this persona. Each exercise was a test of poise and mental control. I laughed quietly at my own nervousness, the absurdity of rehearsing conversations in my bedroom, but the more I practiced, the more natural it began to feel. Then came the more daring challenge, interacting with Emma while maintaining the persona fully. I tried subtle flirtation, teasing remarks, light touches on her arm. Each reaction from her, a soft laugh, a curious glance, a gentle touch, sent shivers of excitement down my spine. It was a dance of vulnerability and empowerment, and I felt my identity expanding in ways I hadn't imagined possible. The next hour became a blend of emotional exploration and physical transformation. I tried on different hairstyles, experimented with new makeup techniques, and even tested more daring poses in front of the mirror. The excitement was intoxicating, but so was the fear of slipping up. A fallen wig, a misstep in heels, or a voice that faltered too much could ruin the illusion I had painstakingly crafted. By late afternoon, I realized the suspense had grown into something almost unbearable. Every creak in the floorboards, every distant sound from the street, made me tense. My mind raced with possibilities, a neighbor dropping by, Emma's parents coming early, Jason arriving sooner than expected. Each imagined scenario ratcheted up both anxiety and anticipation. And yet, with each passing moment, I noticed a shift. I wasn't just practicing for approval anymore. I was enjoying the persona for its own sake. The thrill of heels clicking on hardwood, the delicate swish of the dress, the way my posture had changed. It was addictive. I could feel the shy, hesitant Alex fading with every heartbeat, replaced by someone more daring, more alive. As evening approached, the tension reached a peak. Jason's knock could come at any moment. Emma's presence, comforting yet unpredictable, was still beside me. I was caught between fear and exhilaration, vulnerability and empowerment, secrecy and revelation. It was then that I realized something crucial. This was no longer just a test. It had become a journey, one that would push boundaries, challenge identity, and blur the line between who I was and who I could be. And deep down, I couldn't wait to see how far it would go. By the time evening fell, the apartment had transformed into a stage. Shadows from the streetlights flickered across the walls, and the faint hum of traffic below added an eerie rhythm to my heightened heartbeat. I stood in front of the mirror, adjusting my dress for what felt like the 100th time, my fingers trembling slightly as they smoothed down the fabric. The reflection staring back at me was both familiar and alien, a daring, feminine version of myself I had never dared to embrace fully before. Emma lounged on the couch, sipping wine, her gaze lingering on me longer than usual. There was a smile playing on her lips, but I could sense a quiet curiosity in her eyes, almost like she was studying me for a hidden truth I wasn't ready to share. "Relax," she said softly. "You look amazing. I think you're ready." Those words, simple as they were, sent a shiver down my spine. Ready? Ready for what? My mind raced as I imagined every possibility. Then, a sudden knock on the door froze me in place. My stomach dropped. Jason. I called out, my voice wavering slightly. A pause. Then, open up, it's me. Every nerve in my body screamed both excitement and fear. Jason had arrived earlier than expected. My transformation, my carefully rehearsed confidence, would now be scrutinized under his exacting gaze. I took a deep breath, trying to steady the trembling in my hands and legs. As I opened the door, the hallway light fell across his face. Jason's eyes scanned me from head to toe, and I could feel the weight of his judgment pressing down on me. Wow, he said, a mix of surprise and amusement in his tone. You really went all out. I swallowed hard, feeling both pride and vulnerability. The dress clung perfectly. The heels added an elegant sway to my steps, and the makeup highlighted features I had always been insecure about. And yet, in Jason's gaze, I felt exposed, like a secret that could be revealed at any moment. Come in, Emma said smoothly, her eyes sparkling with intrigue. He's going to help you refine your performance. Jason stepped inside, and the air felt electric. Every movement, every glance, every subtle adjustment of my posture was magnified under his scrutiny. He circled around me slowly, like a cat observing its prey, or perhaps like a mentor evaluating a student. Your stance, he said, pausing to gently adjust the tilt of my shoulder. More confident. Don't just stand, own it. Your hands, yes, that's better. But keep them relaxed. Each correction, each subtle touch, sent waves of adrenaline through me. I could feel my identity fragmenting and reforming simultaneously, the shy, hesitant Alex dissolving further with every instruction, replaced by this poised, daring persona that thrilled and terrified me in equal measure. Then, just as I was beginning to feel in control, a sudden sound made me freeze. The doorbell. Not Jason's knock. This was a different, unexpected visitor. Emma's expression flickered with surprise, and I could feel my heart pounding in my chest. Who could that be? I whispered, my voice barely audible. Emma rose gracefully, her heels clicking against the floor, and moved to answer. I stayed frozen in front of the mirror, every instinct screaming that this interruption could expose everything I had worked so hard to hide. My heels seemed suddenly heavier, the dress suddenly tighter, as I tried to steady my racing thoughts. Through the slightly open door, a familiar face appeared, one I hadn't expected to see tonight. And in an instant, the carefully controlled suspense of the evening spiraled into something dangerously unpredictable. The moment the door swung open, a chill ran down my spine. Standing there was my neighbor, Melissa, her eyes widening as she took in the sight of me, heels clicking softly on the hardwood floor, dress perfectly hugging my frame, makeup accentuating my features in ways I had never dared to explore openly. Oh, wow, she breathed, a mix of astonishment and curiosity in her voice. What's going on here? I froze, my pulse hammering in my ears. Emma, ever composed, smiled slyly. Just a little makeover session. Jason here is helping Alex explore some new styles. Melissa's gaze flicked between us, her expression unreadable. I felt my stomach knot. This was the exact moment I had feared, an unplanned witness to my crossdressing experiment. New styles. Melissa asked cautiously, stepping closer. I could feel the tension in the room escalate with each measured step she took. Yes, Jason interjected smoothly, stepping forward with confidence. It's all perfectly safe, just some fun and confidence building. You'd be surprised how transformative it can be. I wanted to melt into the floor. Every word they spoke reinforced the reality I had tried to contain. My secret, my double life, my thrilling transformation, all laid bare. I could feel my hands trembling, the weight of my heels suddenly oppressive, my heart racing faster than it ever had before. Melissa studied me closely, tilting her head, a faint smile forming. You actually look amazing. I didn't know you could pull that off. Her words, instead of comforting, ignited a storm inside me. Pride and embarrassment collided, making me acutely aware of every sensation: the soft fabric of the dress against my skin, the unfamiliar sway of my hips, the sharp click of my heels with each small movement. My dual identity, carefully constructed, was teetering on the edge of exposure. Emma's hand lightly brushed my shoulder. "See? You're already captivating. Now let's show her some confidence moves." Jason guided me into a slow turn, demonstrating posture and poise while Melissa watched intently. Every movement made me hyper-aware of the potential for disaster. What if she told someone? What if Emma's teasing became too public? Melissa leaned closer, her voice lowering. "You're different. I mean, I like it. But is this really you?" The question struck me like a lightning bolt. The line between my persona and my true self blurred, leaving me dizzy with both fear and excitement. Could I own this side of me in front of someone unexpected? Before I could respond, the doorbell rang again, another interruption. My heart lurched. Emma's eyes widened in surprise, and I realized this night of transformation was turning into a minefield of unexpected visitors. Jason glanced at me, his expression unreadable. "Ready for anything?" he asked, his voice calm but carrying an edge of challenge. I swallowed hard, realizing that tonight would push me further than I had ever gone, emotionally, physically, and socially. Every step I took in my heels, every flick of my hair, every shift in posture was now a delicate balance between thrill and potential disaster. And as I looked into the mirror once more, my reflection seemed to stare back with a mixture of curiosity and warning. This was only the beginning. The real test was about to come. I froze mid-step, the door behind me creaking open once more. A shadow fell across the hallway, elongating unnaturally in the dim light. My heart raced, pounding so loudly I was certain anyone nearby could hear it. Melissa's gaze widened, Emma's lips curled into a mischievous smile, and I felt a sudden, terrifying awareness. Someone else was there, someone I hadn't expected. The sound of soft, deliberate footsteps echoed across the floor. My reflection in the full-length mirror seemed to shimmer, as if warning me. This moment was irreversible. A hand appeared at the edge of the mirror's frame, trembling, uncertain, but undeniably deliberate. I turned, but the figure in the doorway remained silhouetted, faceless in the shadows. "Alex," a voice called, slow, measured, almost teasing. I couldn't place it, but it made my stomach twist. My heels clicked faster as I stepped backward, away from the mirror, away from the intruder, my chest tight with panic. Emma whispered, almost playfully, "Looks like someone else wants to see the transformation." Before I could react, a sudden gust of air made the wig on my head shift precariously, tilting just enough for a few strands to fall across my face. The mirror reflected me, the intruder, and my own trembling hands, all in a single frame. And then, the door creaked open fully. A gasp cut through the tension. My heart froze mid-beat. Whoever had entered now stood fully visible, and that's where it ends. I stared at them, frozen, caught between fear and exhilaration, as the room seemed to shrink around me. The reflection in the mirror didn't just show my crossdress self, it showed the imminent collapse of my secret world. Would they understand? Would they judge? Or was everything I had become about to shatter? The answer hung in the air, unresolved, leaving everything uncertain.